It's a new era, 2025.
Scared of my own image, scared of my own immaturity, scared of my own ceiling, scared I'll die of uncertainty. Fear might be the death of me, fear leads to anxiety. Don't know what's inside of me. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Even when I doubt you, I'm no good without you. No, no. Temperatures dropping, temperatures dropping. I'm not sure if I can see this ever stopping. Shaking hands with the dark parts of my thoughts. No, you are all that I've got. No, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. Even when I doubt you, I'm no good without you. No, 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 no. Gnawing on the bishops, claw away up their system, repeating simple phrases. Someone wholly insisted, want the markings made on my skin to mean something to me again. Hope you haven't left without me. Hope you haven't left without me. Please.
Oh my goodness, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Lab podcast. Daphne and I are the only ones here today. JJ's out showing homes. We are going to do something a little different with today's podcast. We were talking about having a stager on and looking at different listings. And Daphne had this genius idea. She goes, let's call it Stager Things. And I was like, yes. And the play on Netflix and all that. But at the end of the day, stagers are a little more challenging to find, especially since there's so much turbulence in the real estate industry right now. And so because of that, we still want to talk about things that people are putting in their listings or not putting in their listings, and why some of these homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So the first thing I want to say is, Daphne, thank you so much for hanging out every week or every other week and always bringing something fun to the table. Are you excited for today's conversation?
I really am, because I feel like we can share so many perspectives on this, even though it's just two of us. Yeah, I've seen a lot. I know you've seen a lot. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on all of this. So pumped. Get going.
I think it's interesting because a lot of people they can't kind of get out of their own way. And sometimes it's sellers. Sometimes it's real estate agents.
Yeah, usually.
Right? Sometimes it's builders that are like, I don't need a real estate agent. I'm just going to list it on my own. Mm-hmm. Right? So sometimes it's investors. It doesn't really matter. The point is, we want to be objective with this and showcase a few homes and kind of pick them apart. But this is not, we got to be very clear. This is not negative. The goal here is so we're all learning together and improving real estate in general and our understanding of real estate. And so if that sounds like something that you're interested in, please stay tuned for more. If not, see you in 2 weeks for our next topic, whatever that is. We don't want you to go. But the other thing I'd like to do is, as we're going through these homes, if you can give us a little bit of information and insight on how you feel about them, because the comments are unhinged sometimes, and I love that sort of stuff. That's another thing. We moved to a different platform that allows us to see the comments and the engagement a little bit better. We were having a hard time with that before, so we're adjusting for y'all, for our audience. All right, Daphne,
yeah.
Do you want to pull up the first property?
I could do that, sure.
Please do.
I just want to say on the comments too,
Please.
It is so cool when you guys reach out to us, because it really feels like we're having a real-time conversation instead of just being like, is anyone out there? Can anyone hear me? So there's that. Okay, let me pull up these houses. Oh, there's so many.
I know. It's so interesting when you take the time to like deep dive and look at what's actually out there.
Yeah.
There's a ton, but there aren't a ton that stand out as, oh my gosh, I want this, or oh my gosh, this is a good deal.
Yeah, totally.
Which is kind of why we're breaking this down.
Well, the funny thing is too, like, I know we show homes a lot, and there's so many times where I'm looking at homes for clients and a home will pop up and you look through the photos and the description and the pricing and all of that, and you're like, oh, I get why this has been on the market for 274 days.
That is the reason for today's podcast, because I don't think people understand that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're breaking down.
Can you see my screen?
I can. I'm sharing it. You ready?
Are you sure? Oh, okay, cool. Very good. Let me see. Oh, sorry, new format. I'm figuring this out too. One moment. Okay, so Ian had said to put together a list of 10 homes, and I found there's 9 on my list, but there's actually one more that I want to share with you guys too, which I have a real life story to share about.
Ooh.
So I will do that a little bit later. I'm going to sprinkle real life stories throughout this because I think, like Ian said, some people cannot get out of their way. And a lot of that is, some of that can be the seller's fault, but a lot of that can fall on the realtor. Not that they're even necessarily bad at what they do. I think some of it just comes with certainty and being comfortable telling clients and people what they need to do. But we will touch on that later. Okay, so this home is actually in a really great neighborhood. In the Highland Park neighborhood. What I did for this search is I went through and I looked for homes in Austin that have been on the market for the longest amount of time. So let's start with this bottom portion here. This home says cumulative days on market, 616, active days on market, or actual days on market, 477. So it's been on for well over a year. The original listing price on this one was $850,000, and they originally listed it at the end of 2023, which was an absolutely horrible time to put anything on the market. And I think what had happened was still happening late 22 through late 23 was that a lot of sellers were getting kind of, I would say, like reverse sticker shock, in the sense that they still thought they could put on their house on the market for anything they wanted and they would get a million offers, and that just wasn't happening. And I think a lot of sellers just were not believing it. So this might have been one of these guys. I don't know. I don't know the realtor. I don't know the seller. It's just me trying to piece some things together. So this home is in Highland Park, 78731, wonderful neighborhood. It's one of my favorites. I love the west side of Austin. I love the little old homes. They have so much character, and I just love everything that's right there with them. I think the main thing that's probably holding this home back, obviously, is going to be the condition and pricing. And now I haven't run a market analysis on this. I can't tell you exactly, but just kind of looking at the photos, there's really no interior photos. So this tells me this is probably a tear down or close to it. It does sit on a big piece of land. But I think pricing was just probably too high at $850 to begin with. And then they really didn't come down for a long time. And now it's sitting at $700. Ian, were you going to say something? Sorry.
No. I agree. When you have something that starts off at a really high price and there's zero adjustment for a long period of time, we have what people would call it as stale on the market. As realtors, we don't necessarily look at it like that because there are always things that you can do to bring it back up. But a lot of people, and depending on the search platform they're looking at. So if they're using Zillow, for example, Zillow treats homes that have sat differently than maybe like my website or Daphne's website, you see? Or Redfin or the actual MLS. So in fact, I'm going to use an example for that. Zillow, oh my gosh, I hate this. Have you seen that Zillow? It'll show your active listing, and then it'll show similar homes nearby and show the prices for their homes. But those homes are closed.
Oh, yeah. And they could have been closed like 5 years ago.
Right. And so if they're closed 5 years ago, it's not a real comparison. And people are falling for it left and right. They're like, oh, well, my home's listed at this price, or this home is listed at this price, but all the other homes in the neighborhood are 25,000, 150,000, 100,000 less. It's like, because those are closed. You can't actually buy those homes. Those are not true comparables. Zillow just got you, bait and switch.
Yeah, that's actually, I have a real life example about that. I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But I had some clients, couple, they are retired and their kids live in Austin. So the kids wanted them to buy a little house in Austin. We were looking at homes in Wells Branch. We found one that they absolutely loved. It was like, I don't know, 520 or something like that. It was on a fourth of an acre. It had a pool in a cul-de-sac. And we were ready to write up the offer, and one of the sons sent a screenshot of exactly what you just said. And he's like, this house is too expensive. My parents are spending too much. All the other houses are going for so much less. And it's hard to know when to really step in forcefully but politely. But I basically was like, oh, I'm curious when those sales dates were. And sure enough, we looked them up, and they were 6 years ago, 5 years ago, right before the pandemic, so it's like people truly, and these are educated people. Their kids are very smart. They're professionals. They have really good jobs, and it fools a lot of folks. So
people don't like hearing it. They don't like hearing it. They think because now we have AI and now we have all these different platforms and all this access that they know what they're doing. And it's like, listen, I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing, but you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so leverage a professional. Sometimes you have to pay for that value. Sometimes you don't actually have to pay for that value. But if you don't directly pay for that value, you might be paying for it in what you're buying.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right.
For sure.
So this house, the one you pulled up, I think it's interesting. Look at the square footage. It's actually a really large lot. So I think what they're doing is they're justifying the sales price because of the land.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost $550 a square foot.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the question. If you were looking in this area in Highland Park, would you pay $700,000 for this house on 0.36 acres?
Right. Essentially it looks like it needs to be rebuilt. If we zoom in on this photo, all the driveway is all cracked. Now, of course, the driveway is separate from the actual foundation, but who's to say that this foundation doesn't need some lifting?
Yes.
We also don't actually know the condition of the house because there's no interior photos, but I think it's safe to assume that it's probably not in great shape. So let's say you buy this. Let's say even you buy it cash for like $600, $650. Do you know how much it takes? I don't actually know. I'm actually asking how much it costs to tear down a house.
Well, that's the thing. The numbers change all the time with the labor costs, right? And in the area. So the last time we had a discussion around this, the last time I remember having a discussion around this was related to, again, not to be political, but was related to ICE and the construction industry going through this turbulence because people were leaving. And so who was building at that time, but also what are the costs of materials? What is all that sort of stuff? So unless you've done this in the last 3 weeks, it's going to be a different cost, right? Someone could throw out a number for you and you're not going to have any clue whether or not that's realistic because things are changing so rapidly right now in Austin for all these prices. So to tear down a house is one thing. It's not the tearing down, it's the building. What is the price per square foot to be able to build? Right now, and as we're going through these houses, you'll see this, the price per square foot could be $200 a square foot, $300 a square foot, $700 a square foot, right? To be able to rebuild. And so now you have to think to yourself, am I going to be able to resell this house after the teardown or rebuild something at a reasonable rate? Because for this, you're already paying $550 a square foot only to tear it down. So to make it worth it, you almost got to build something that's worth more than, I guess, $1,000 a square foot almost, right? Like if you're going to resell it, or depending on what your math is, what you're trying to get your return.
The other thing I was going to mention on this, and I really have no idea what this would be, but I wonder maybe if something like the zoning for it, maybe it won't allow more than a house that's a certain square footage. So this house is just over 1,200 square feet. It's more than likely zoned to be able to build larger, but what if the limit is like 2,000 square feet? You're still probably not going to get your money back if you build a 2,000 square foot home in this market. I don't know. That's just me thinking, kind of guessing, again, without really having a lot of true information.
Yeah, I think this one is interesting because the zoning should allow for 3 structures at varying sizes, but allow for 3 structures that are livable. And again, they might be banking on that, but it's not marketed that way.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not marketed that way. People who are looking on Zillow aren't going to know. Only the people who are quote unquote, I'll use the term savvy, are going to know.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, basically it says
616 days on market, original list price, $850.
yeah. And then as far as the description goes, size lot, this lot offers possibilities, blah, 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 value in land. Yeah, property, home considered to tear down, great opportunity to build your dream home, blah, 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 blah. So it could actually be a great opportunity for somebody. It's got to be that right somebody that's got the time, money, and know-how to be able to do so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share one. I think this one's a lot of fun because for a number of reasons, but I want to show, before I show the home, I want to show you this screen. So the reason why this screen is important, and you don't see it yet, now you see it. The reason why this screen is important is because of a couple things. When we're using the MLS, not our websites. If you want our websites, we'll have it in the description below, whatever medium you're watching this on. If it's Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, we're on everything. But look in the description and we'll make sure to have our websites so that you can go to those and search. But this is the actual MLS, which our websites are connected to. Okay. When you look on the actual MLS, it automatically displays for us things like what was it closed for before and what's active. I'm not going to show this for every screen, but I want to explain this the one time because it's very relevant. So somebody bought this home and they paid this price for this home. Okay. Then they have it listed now for this home or for this price. All right. The difference is it was closed in less than a year, right? Or just about a year, and it's already relisted. So that's important for people to know. If someone checks the tax records, they see that. You're not like getting one over on them. And I'm not saying you're trying to. I'm saying this is what people are thinking when they're looking at the house. They're like, there's no way it's worth that much more. The second part of this is, before we even go any further, the square footage changed. What? So why would I pay that much more money? Is it because the square footage changed? When the realtor or builder or whoever is listing this added the price, were they evaluating it based on the current square foot or the old square foot? You know, these are those nuances that people don't do or don't know about or don't consider when listing homes. And so now let's look at the property itself.
Curious if they added a pool or something.
Huh?
I'm curious if they like added a pool or something.
They did. They have a pool. Yeah, but that doesn't change the square footage unless you move the fence.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, why would it go up that much in such a short amount of time?
Well, you're exactly right. So they added a pool. So this is the first picture they put. First off, question one, does this make it more appealing to you if you see a picture like this as your first picture?
Can you open that photo? That's hard to see.
Oh, I will.
Oh, okay.
Right? So I don't know, is that sand?
Yeah, that's
I think it's a beach. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. In the backyard. Now, is that cool to me? Heck yeah. I love it. We're at the water probably twice a week, every day, every week in the summer. Like, I love being on or near the water. But how many people does this appeal to? Truly, right? Yeah. People with kids? I don't know. Maybe it's great because it has sand. People with dogs?
Not so much.
Not so much, right? So this is a perfect example of you over customizing a home, expecting a result that is not pragmatic. Okay. And so, but the home looks gorgeous. I think this is funny. Whenever they do pictures like this and they put in the fake stuff on so it's virtually staged. And I'm going to show you ways that I know, but also it looks a little bit like some of these are camera and some of these are professional. Like this is highly saturated and I'm okay with it because that gets eyes on the home. But then so look at this. This is one picture and this is another picture. They look completely different.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
You see? And so while I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm saying people are smart and they'll look at that and they'll say, well, what's happening here? Okay. So the other thing, this photo, look at the angle and the size and the shape of this photo. This is a Instagram photo, not a professional MLS photo like this is. Right? Yeah. I'm not saying it necessarily matters. I'm saying think about this as you're putting it in order or where you're posting this. Because if you're just randomly throwing photos up there, this can really mess up how your listing is perceived to people on Zillow. Because Zillow doesn't favor photos like this. Realtor.com doesn't favor photos like this. Redfin doesn't favor photos like this, right? So, and MLS, they'll take whatever. The other thing is I'm noticing, where's the photo? This one, this photo right here. What do you notice? What do you see, Daphne? Please tell me you see it. Please, please, please. I'm going to give you a hint. The stools under the island.
Oh, the floor is a different color.
It's a different color. Come on. Like, I don't know how many people are going to catch that, but as a realtor, that's the first thing. I'm like, what is happening here? Why is it? Because that attention to detail, I've seen it 1,000 times, right? It is very interesting to notice things like that.
Actually, if you go back,
Go
backwards too. Right there, from that photo to the next, the floor is a different color too.
Oh yeah. Well, there's the inconsistency of the photos, and that's kind of where I was going with it, right?
Yeah. You know, I see this quite a bit. So kind of a side little tangent. There was a home that I was selling, and it had taupe kitchen cabinets. I had the photographer go in there, and I don't know what he did to the editing, but he turned them gray. Oh. And I wrote back, I was like, can you please just have them be taupe? And he goes, oh yeah. And he just turned them back taupe. Like that kind of stuff happens a lot. And it's, yeah.
So another interesting point about this, it dropped $100,000. They dropped it $100,000. It was something like, I forget the number, like the percent, it was like 16% or whatever the number is. 16% discount. Like this is one of those things that I'll put on my deal of the week newsletter, my ATX deal of the week newsletter, because this is a deal. They just are marketing it strange. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of faux pas. And so this could be a great property. It's in Parma Ranch. This one's in Georgetown. So documents, they even included. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the MLS and working with realtors, we have access to upload and see some of these things that aren't on other platforms, right? So like this is called a seller's disclosure notice. And it's basically an outline of everything that the seller thinks about the house, almost like a Carfax, but it's written by the seller. And then sometimes we have a floor plan. So sometimes if I'm doing a listing, I'll actually put the floor plan as one of the photos because nobody's going to have access to this except other realtors or other people that have access to the MLS. So these are examples of things that you can do a little bit differently, but this is a fine property.
Yeah.
And it's just not getting the traction. And it's only $270 a square foot with a pocket pool. You're losing the yard. Oh, and the second thing I didn't talk about is it's occupied.
I was just going to ask if it was vacant.
If you have a home that's occupied, if you're listing your home and someone is living in it, whether it's you or a tenant or anything like that, it makes it more challenging for people to see it. It makes it more challenging for realtors when they have their clients and they're trying to show 7 homes in 3 hours. If it's vacant, then we don't have to worry about like how the schedule works out. As soon as it's occupied, it's like, it's a hassle and a half because now you have all these different lock boxes, all these ways to communicate with people. A lot of times people don't actually answer their phone these days to be able to let us show the homes, and we have access to everything, but it becomes a logistical nightmare. And so oftentimes if it's an occupied home, that actually moves to the bottom of the list. Okay. Enough of my rant for this house. My question is, for those of you that are watching, what do you think about this home, this sawdust home? And what would you think is a fair price for this home? Forget what it says. What would you pay for this home in Parma Ranch in Georgetown? All right, Daphne.
How long was that one on the market? 140 days?
So no, this one was only on the market for 19 days. So I think what they did is they accidentally listed it at a certain price and then had a rapid adjustment, which also doesn't look very good.
Look good.
Depending on who's viewing it. Because some people are going to take that and run with it. Oh, they screwed up. If they screwed up on that, they're going to screw up on something else. It's like, here
Well,
we go.
it's like I'm such a big believer of how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So it's like if you start off kind of with a little bit of a screw up, and then you've got some others throughout the listing, it's like, do you know what you're doing? Do you? I don't know.
All right. Do you have another property? I know you do.
do have another property. Let me pull her up. Okay. Yes. Are you sharing my screen?
I am.
Yes, you are. There she is. Okay. So this little one is on the east side, another very cool neighborhood in 78702 proper. Also little house, 1,260 square feet, historical almost, I would say. I don't think it technically is, but 1925, so it's a little older home. Yeah.
Actually, you zoomed in a little bit. Can you go back and zoom in some more? Because that was nice to see. Yeah, the screen. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So built in 1925, 1,260 square feet. Like I mentioned, in 78702, which is a very cool not even up and coming. It has arrived. Very trendy neighborhood. Listing is 625, listing price, oh, sorry, I'm just seeing it's almost on a quarter acre as well. So big lot. 625 for this area is decent. It's not a steal, but it's not as expensive as some other things I've seen over there. This little guy has been on the market for 468 days. And it was originally listed for 675. So, it's come down in price, but not what you would expect in over a year worth of listing time. So, really kind of breaking down the details. I'm kind of pumped to talk about it because I do think this area is so cool. There's so many, like I said, there's so many little pockets throughout Austin that are really awesome like this. Now, in this photo, the house doesn't actually look terrible, but this is a cell phone photo, and not even
look at that
cell phone photo. That's blurry. It looks like the paint is newer on here, but you can't. Yeah, but you can't even really tell.
Look at the size. So the reason why we keep coming back and harping on the difference between like a cell phone photo versus a regular photo, a professional photo, isn't only the product, right? Because I can make cell phone photos look pretty darn phenomenal, but I'm still not someone who does it every day, right? Like as a photographer, and my skill level isn't quite there, right? So like here, this is a great example. Look at this house. The angle of the photo is atrocious. The blowout in the light in the background is atrocious, right? But a lot of people aren't going to think through that because they don't know that part of photography. They don't understand composition, lighting, framing, right? And so this photo is just horrible. And a lot of people that are looking at it, let's say they're looking at it on Zillow or some other website, they don't know why it is they don't like it. They just don't like it. Some people can say, I don't like this because it's a bad photo. Most people are just going to swipe and immediately, without articulating the reason for judgment, I just don't like it.
The main reason I chose this listing was because the photos are cell phone photos. And as agents who work a lot, we fully appreciate and understand the reason to get a professional photographer. One, the quality of the photos is fantastic. They're so much better at what they're doing, obviously, than we are. Like, we wear so many hats already. And like Ian said, we are not photographers. And on our end, spending money on a photographer, like professional photographers for real estate, are extremely affordable. Yeah. So if you're a realtor and you're taking your own cell phone photos, stop it. If you are a seller what was I going to say? I don't know. Lost my train of thought. Point being, get a professional photographer. I've had a couple clients that dabble with photography, and they'll send me some photos that they take of their house, and they're like, can we use this? And I'm like, absolutely not. No.
It's horrible. No. 95% of the time, it's the worst photo you've ever seen.
Well, to be fair, they were decent photos, but they didn't match anything else. And it's like, we're trying to sell a home in a tough market. We need everything to be as beautiful, polished, and uniform as possible. And here we have the vertical versus the horizontal, poorly lit. Like, what is that?
Angle, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as professionals, we get a pretty good idea of what this house is. Actually, it looks like it's in decent condition. Not really updated, but like she looks ready to go.
Yeah.
But to somebody that's just looking, let's say somebody maybe who's a first-time home buyer or somebody that's just maybe not as familiar with the market, this looks like a teardown, and it's not. Like I can tell this isn't super fashionable tile by any means, but it's in good shape. And this paint looks new too, and this door looks newer. You could, yeah.
And we're just talking about photos as one of the potential marketing mediums, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Both Daphne and I do video marketing as well as social media, as well as photos, as well as all of these other elements, as well as our network of realtors and connections. And so like, this is just one of the many things. And it's such an important element. When people look at the photos, they're going to dismiss you before giving your home a chance. This is like a resume cover letter. For those of you who've ever like really understood that writing a resume is just to get you into the door for the interview, that's what this is. So focus on making sure that that's the best presentation. It's completely superficial, but it's the best presentation that allows you to get into the door, allows buyers to get into the door so that they can see your home. Mm-hmm. And then they can make that judgment. But if they're never getting to your door, then you've wasted all your time. And so thinking that you're going to save money on this almost never pans out like you want it to.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So
and I don't personally really know the listing agent on this, but I know she's been in it for a long time and she's an excellent realtor, really good agent. I would like to see professional photos for this little house, even if it's, they've got 21 photos there, even if it's just a dozen photos, that's plenty. Yeah. That's my thoughts on that little house. It seems like a deal though. Now that I'm actually really looking at it.
That's the question. So right? what if you're watching this, what would you pay for that particular home? What do you think? Right? Because it did seem like kind of a deal. And the bad photos give you as a buyer, if you're a buyer or an investor, an opportunity to sneak in before interest rates change or people start moving back into the area and there's a lot of velocity in the market again, right? And then the inventory shrinks in the Austin, Texas area. This gives you a chance to come in and get houses like that are being overlooked by these buyers.
Right. Totally. Your turn.
My turn. Okay, so this one is a lot of fun because it looks great, but it's price high. I think it's price high, but I need y'all to be the judge of this. Okay, I don't know that it's priced high. Let me start by saying this. It's priced at $854 for 1,700 square feet. So as I add this home, let's look at a couple things. First photo is of the pool, all that. It was a 1962 build, right? So obviously a complete remodel, okay? They just dropped the price from $864 to $854, $10,000. At this price point, $10,000, the only reason they're doing that is to get a refresh on different websites, okay? So let's open up and look at some of these pictures. First, before I even go to the pictures, a couple things. One, the tax, there's no estimated tax information. So when we're filling things out on the MLS, it's actually really important that we get the information fully vetted and as complete as possible, because when other sites, third-party sites, are aggregating the information, they need to see that there's a tax rate so they can display it on their site. And if it's incorrect, it might not show up on these other platforms as high, okay? So it's easy to estimate the tax if you understand how tax rates work and then the value of the home, blah, 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 blah. Another thing is there's no documentation for this house. They're not showing it. There's no virtual tour. There's no video. They do have photos. So now let's look at the photos, okay? So I'm looking at the photos. There were a couple things that were interesting. Obviously, the turf in the background, okay? Single car garage. Some people, that is going to be an outlier. They can't handle it. Some people can't handle it. But you can't really change that about the house. So when you're buying a house, when you're looking to buy a house in the Austin, Texas area, know that a single car garage might be a little bit of a challenge for people. Here's something that I thought was hilarious. There are 2 islands. Where are those islands? Like one's a sink, one's an oven. Where are they?
Like halfway in the living room.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So whoever did the remodel for this house, and then you can almost see it here, the scuttle to get up into the extra storage up here is right up.
That's not.
Yes.
That's not a ceiling. What do you call it? Skylight?
It's just a little scuttle access. So you won't use it all the time. It's not like the full ladder access, but it's still
in? No.
It's offset. It's just funny. So the kitchen's in the middle.
Oh, get out.
It's just a strange layout. They did what they could with the space that they had.
Yeah.
Okay. But because of that, you have to make this home exceptional. You can't be pricing it in line with the competition because this is not competition.
Yeah.
You see? Beautiful countertops. Love it. Right? It's elegant. But again, the functionality, the space is not commonplace. And so because there's an outlier, you really have to understand your audience when you're looking at this home. So like I said, the scuttle's kind of right above the cabinet. There's no, it's in the middle of the living room and the kitchen, but there's no overhang. So you can't actually put chairs up there. Like if I'm going to have an island in the middle of my house, I should have a place for extra seating, right?
Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I agree.
Right? It just
overhang. Zero.
No, there's no overhang because it's the infinity, the infinity island. There's no extra cabinetry. It's nothing, but it's in the middle of the house, the middle of the living space. It's so strange to me. What is this? Help me understand, please, because this was an opportunity to have a cute courtyard or something. If this space or to somehow extend the space. I can't really see where it is because I haven't looked at the plat map, but wherever this is a missed opportunity in so many different ways. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this window is looking at this wall is what I'm saying. Right? Like, yeah. What is happening? At least they have gutters all the way around. Okay. And again, I'm not
Can you go back?
I'm saying this because this is such a beautiful redesign. I love that they have windows in the bathroom that are higher up, so you don't have any, people looking in or whatever. Like, because sometimes I've seen them where the windows are super low. And you're like, I can't get dressed in front of this window. This doesn't have that. But some of the design choices are really strange, which is interesting, right? The wall, I think it's nice. They did a good job. They separated the closet here for people.
Very nice.
Yeah, really nice design. Now, so we looked at the pictures. Here's one thing that I wanted to show you. Let's do the parcel map. Because I thought this was hilarious when I saw it. Look at where it's at. There's 290. This is like, it's not on 290.
Very close.
But if you're spending $800,000 for a house, are you going to buy it off of 290? If you've never lived in Austin and you're like shopping, like planning to relocate, because this is one of those things, whenever I'm working with relocation clients and they're trying to come here from another city, understanding the major thoroughfares is obviously a component. Also access to the highways, also toll roads, all that sort of stuff. Understanding how close this is to 290 changes almost everything. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Well, one thing too, like that, because every now and then I'll work with clients that get excited about a house, how it looks in photos, and we'll get there and we'll really take a look at the location and also have them stand in the backyard. And I'm like, let's listen for road noise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Look inside and out of the house. Mm-hmm. Because I've had houses, I listed this house that had all, it was completely insulated. It was on the main road, but the seller had the forethought when they were remodeling the home to create a full soundproof insulation inside the house where the walls were facing the main road. So it sounded incredible inside. Right. You couldn't hear anything. Outside it was a little louder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right.
I get it.
Let's go for a next.
Okay, let's do it. Let me pull her up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're flying through these, but I know we have a lot more homes and a lot less time, but that's okay. But I would rather take the time and make sure people are getting quality information instead of just
zipping through. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's super important to share this. Okay, is my screen being shared?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is.
Okay. This other home is one of the bigger ones. I guess we looked at. This one's 2,100 square feet, newer than the other ones, maybe. No, because Ian had one built in 23, 22. Built
yeah.
1994, 2,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms. So should be pretty spacious. Village at Western Oaks, really good area. There's a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot going on everywhere in Central Austin, wouldn't you say?
This is a 3.3 for 645.
Yeah. Yep.
At $300 a square foot. So it's 200 or 2,000 square feet, 2,100 square feet for a 1994 build for 650 ish.
Yes.
Okay.
So
making sure we get the numbers and all that right.
Cool. So she's been on the market for 343 days. That is almost an entire year.
Yeah. Do you think it's priced well? This is for anybody who's watching. Do you think this is priced well? Realistically,
hear what you guys think about the pricing on this. Originally priced at $683, and today it is priced at $645. So not quite a $40,000 price drop. All right. So aside from the fact that this is not a good quality photo, one of the things I always tell my seller clients, always, whether the house is new, whether the house is not new, that whether they've been living in it for 5 days or 20 years, I think it is so important to make sure that the exterior has some level of curb appeal. And one of the main things that you can do that's very affordable and super easy is power washing. I always tell my clients they have to power wash. It doesn't matter how much concrete is in your front. For the most part, people have a driveway. We always want to get the driveway taken care of. In a home like this, I would have removed this brown wood thing and done a couple garden beds, just do something to liven it up and really show some contrast and create some curb appeal. Also, it looks like there's a little bit of just like, probably like mildew growth.
Where? We'll call it where.
Huh?
Where?
Where what?
Like it's where? Like on the, just
wear and tear. Yes.
Yeah, wear and tear. Yeah.
Exactly. So a little bit of wear here, probably from weather. It's probably not a big deal. We see this a ton. Power wash stuff. Yep.
There's no gutters in the front, so you're gonna have wear.
Yep.
Right?
Literally any house is gonna have wear, whether the seller's meticulous or not. They always do.
The other thing that I'm noticing with this particular house, notice the shutters. There's only shutters where the siding is, not where the brick is.
Those aren't even shutters, though. That's just a window.
Or like the trim. Sorry, it's trim, not the shutter.
Gotcha.
But that goes back to what I'm saying. Like you have this nice, cool accent up here, but it's already accented because of the thing. How easy would it be to add maybe shutters or trim around the other windows where those need an accent? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be good. And I think it would be a lot less distracting just if there was some more curb appeal. Add some garden beds, power wash the front, just make it pop, and maybe put a little mulch ring around the bottom of this cute little tree, trim it up so she looks good and alive.
And oh my gosh, like again, going back to the photography, this is not a professional photo. This is an okay photo. It's at least it's straight.
It's about to get better.
Oh, well, okay. So then before you leave it, think about this. It is so easy to make the sky look look blue with AI today. Yeah. So even as a complete novice with photography, at the very least, you can do that.
Definitely.
Right. And I actually had an experiment where I did like a Mars sky on a listing just to see if I would get more views. And it bombed. It was bad. Don't do that. But point is, there are things you can do to create controversy, to create views for these properties.
Say controversy?
Yeah, well, I was going to say controversy because it was controversial with the seller. She was like,
I'm sure.
Do it. I was like, just let me try it. She's like, no, don't do it. I was like, I get good views on all my social media. Maybe this is one of those things. Let's just try it. And we tried it. And I swear the saves and the views on the house the saves went down. They're like, there were X number of people that had saved the home. And as soon as I made that change for the sky, they were like, no. And they unsaved.
It's so funny. Yeah, this house is prone to alien attacks. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, I should have done that. That's what I should have had, like aliens flying around on top or something. That would have been really good.
So a couple of things I want to mention too. we said that the front looks a little worn out. Okay. But actually it looks like it's got newer windows. Those windows are not from 1990.
They do look nice. They're so clean. They cleaned the windows, didn't clean the front facade. I got it. Okay.
And then
I see what's happening here.
Partially open, which neither here nor there, but okay. It's about to get really good here.
Oh, I'm excited.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Oh. Problem number one that is fairly easily solvable is the lighting. My gosh, this looks like a basement, and we don't have very many basements in Texas.
We really don't.
It looks like a basement, and there's a window there. Everything is wrong with this photo. Wow. Sorry.
See, this is marginally better. And I don't want to get so granular and annoying about it. But for instance, this coffee table is really worn out. Let's move the coffee table for some photos. And
we'll put a runner over it or something, right?
Yeah. Set it up with some little blankets or who knows. Okay. This fireplace is actually, this is cute. This could be super charming. But because the quality of the photos is so bad, you can't see it. Now, one thing I want to also mention too is that the seller is also still living in this house.
Okay.
These photos. And so I'm wondering, maybe the seller isn't that motivated to actually sell. Maybe, and I don't know. Nobody come after me. I don't know the seller.
That happens. Yeah.
But yeah, it could be that it's like they don't really want to sell it, or they're kind of half-assing it because they want to see what the market's going to do. Yeah, dude, these are new windows. Do you see that?
I actually did that on my website. I just said, if you just want to list your home and you don't actually care, you're just trying to, Zillow did this a while ago, so I figured I would put it on my website. Like, if you just want to list it and see if someone's going to offer you X price, feel free. But that is different than let me list it to sell. You just have to understand that, right? This definitely looks like one of those. And the MLS doesn't make that distinction necessarily. It has to be the conversation with the agent and the client.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of this just ends up falling on the realtor. And I think when I was a younger realtor, I would have taken that type of listing. But now it's just like you said, Ian, I'll say it to their face, like, are we actually needing to move this home, or are we kind of curious what the market's doing? And I'll say, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of effort, lots of resources and energy to market a home correctly, especially in this market. So if you're just curious, I'm probably not the agent to help you. But if you are wanting to put in the work and scrub it up and follow directions and get it done, we can definitely do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was there anything else about this particular house? I think we have time for one more.
That is it. Look at that. But that's got such a nice big yard with a little barn.
Large yard.
Beautiful tree.
Yeah.
Wow. This house has a lot of potential.
What's it priced at again? $640?
$645, 2,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms. So,
that's challenging because the price could be good if those things were updated, right? But I don't think that price, that condition is a serious sell with those photos and the lack of marketing that I can tell, and it being occupied. I just don't see that being a winning combination.
Ian, real quick before you jump into your next one, once we finish that one, no. I just I wanted to share something, and I should have mentioned this at the start of the podcast. When you're done with yours, can we just go over a very, very high level list of what we are telling our sellers they need to do before putting the home on the market?
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, go for it.
Yeah. All right, so I'm adding this because a couple things. The price point, it went down from $649,900 to $644,900. Just a little sprinkle.
Oh, cool.
Right. Okay, so it's a 2830 square foot home listed at $227 a square foot. 4 bed, 3 bath. This is like a lot of people's dream home when it comes to the size, the number of bedrooms. Like, you can have an office, you have an extra bathroom, you even have a 3rd car garage.
Amazing.
So why is it not selling, right? This has been on the market for 46 days, which is actually below the median days on market in Austin. There are a couple things in here. First, I'm going to talk about, because this is in Vizcaya in Round Rock, the tax rate is extremely low at 1.7. Doesn't list the actual tax. The homestead is particular, and it does not offer FHA loans. That's really important. So in the MLS, we can list what financing will be acceptable for the home, and this one does not accept FHA financing. Okay, so that's a component. Also, $330 quarterly. Why would you give me the quarterly price? I just want to know what it is monthly. I understand you might be paying quarterly, but most people need to understand the monthly because that's where their monthly payment's going to come in for their mortgage. So when you're giving an HOA fee, you need to give it. You don't need to do anything. You do whatever the heck you want. You're adults. But I think putting it monthly helps people digest it when they're looking on Zillow and comparing it to other houses. Unless you want them to do math, and we know that people don't want to do more work, they want to do less. Okay, so that's, again, 3-car garage, single story, which means it's opened up for a lot of people. Gorgeous on the inside, right? Like this is very bright, nice photo. I love this. I love the island, all that sort of stuff. Tons of cabinet space, right? Like this home is pretty darn cool. Lightly staged, a little neutral, right? So it's staged where it has a coffee shop, a coffee maker, that kind of stuff. It doesn't even have fake photos on the wall. So it's not staged, it's decluttered, I guess.
Side note,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of this neighborhood. You tend to see really beautiful homes just like this, and they do kind of tend to sit sometimes. But go ahead.
No, I'm with you. Beautiful bathroom, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, so let's figure out why it's sitting a little bit. All right, so now when I look at the list of photos, there is a particular photo that stood out. Where is it? Oh, so first off, let's look at this. The yard is at a slant. That's challenging. Again, you can't change it, but you also, it's something to keep in mind when you're looking to buy, right? So that could be a negative for buyers that are looking. Let me get this out of here. That was one. Oh, it stopped sharing. Why did it stop sharing? Why did it stop sharing? Get back in there. Get back in there. What'd you say? It heard me?
It got tired of you. It's like enough negativity.
Yeah. So the floor plan is listed in here, which I love. Oh, you're still not seeing it. Floor plan is listed in the photos, which I love seeing that, right? But then this here. Okay, this is super interesting because this particular photo doesn't actually show the house, but it's this house. Okay. When you have a single story home, and a lot of people don't like get this right away, but when you have a single story home, it takes up more footprint for the yard. And so when you're showing a photo like this, you're basically showing, hey, it's taking up more of the yard than the other homes in the neighborhood. And you're like, why is my yard so small? Right. So, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong because it's there are values in that. Like the roof, for example, would be easier to replace than this roof because there's less variability within the roof. But this yard looks smaller when you're compared. So there needs to be some kind of, I don't know, filter or something, or maybe you just show the home itself. It doesn't look good for the untrained eye, I guess is how I'll say it. Right? Maybe you take this photo and you point out some things that are nearby in the photo. Right? So that could be another idea. There's so many different things that people can do to make these stand out. It does. I remember the last reason why I pulled this one up. Watch this. The virtual tour. People, if you're doing a virtual tour and it's not a video, like this does not count as a virtual tour.
We can't see it. Can you share it again?
What? Again?
Yep.
It did it again? Oh, no. Oh. Here we go. This is what they call the virtual tour.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a virtual tour. Okay? In 2025, if you're a realtor or your realtor is creating a virtual tour and this is the extent of it, I just want you to think about that. That's all I'm going to say. This is not what I would consider an actual virtual tour. This is what I would consider a bunch of photos with
Slideshow.
slideshow zooming in and out. This is not a video. This is not a conversation about the home. This isn't painting your home in the best light. It's just a bunch of photos that zooms in. And that was cool in 2007, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right. So I think we've shown a lot of different homes, a lot of different ways that you can improve your listings or work with your realtor, or if you're planning on listing, give one of us a call and we can work with you to make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen. Daphne, you wanted to share some things with people. Let's go.
Yeah, real quick. How much time do we have? We're past, so I'll be as quickly. I'll go as quick as I can. For every client, again, regardless of whether they are a neat freak or not, I think a deep clean is super, super important. Really deep clean, window cleaning, grout cleaning, carpet shampoo, if not replace the carpets, power wash front and back, freshen up the flower beds, both front and back. If you don't have any, probably need to install some. Anything really to make it pop. And a lot of times it used to be that I would tell clients to do like paint touch-ups, but now I'll say like if one spot needs to be touched up, just paint the whole wall. Those are, I'm trying to think quickly as we go. Oh, and the other thing too is because we've had so many storms and hail and that kind of stuff. If the roof wasn't replaced within the last year and a half, 2 years, I always have clients call their insurance folks to make sure to come take a look so we know what condition the roof is in. And if it's in any sort of condition, to either fix it or replace it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that I have a lot of checklists on my website for what you should do to plan for this kind of stuff. The thing that I'll call out though is the lighting is detrimental if you don't address it immediately. So what I mean by that is if you walk into your house and it does not feel bright, I don't care who you are, that will slow down the amount of views and the amount of traffic in your home, whether it's showcased in the photos, whether people show up to the home and it doesn't feel bright. It doesn't matter what it is. For some reason, that is one of the biggest things when someone is looking at photos of a home or when someone is touring a home. And that means if your walls are darker color or your floor is a darker color, you might actually have to replace a lot of your light bulbs or some of the things that enhance. You might even have to paint the walls, like Daphne was saying, if it feels dark inside. There are a handful of people where that works really well. Gamers. So I actually specialize in a lot of gamers, right? Because that's a clientele that I understand the way they think. A lot of tech bros, gamers, whatever. But darker might work for that. But that is not the majority. That's a niche. You want to appeal to the majority. And the majority wants tall ceilings and a bright home.
Yep.
So if you can change that, you can't change the height of the ceilings, but you can make it feel high by making it bright. Mm-hmm. See what I mean? And that's just one thing, but yeah. Anything else, Daphne? I want to thank everybody for watching and paying attention to this, because I think this is one of those things that will be valuable well into 2025 and beyond, pretty much all the time, because this is one of those things that a lot of people are missing out on with their listings.
I agree.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you here in another 2 weeks, and we'll share the topic on our channels very soon. Thank you. Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you, guys. Take care, Ian.
See y'all. Bye.
Bye.